What's up, everybody? Welcome to Worship Matters. I'm Jonathan, and today we're going to be talking about a song called My Refuge by Rivers and Robots. Now, this is a song that I have heard before, and I do enjoy this song, but we're going to be critical about it. No song is safe, even ones that I enjoy. Let's talk about it. All right, so first let's hop over to our worship guidelines. Directional, musically repeatable, theologically sound, the Bob test, artistic license, and congregational versus personal. If you don't know what those mean, I did a whole video about it. You can go check that out. Link will be in the description. It's basically just the list of how I'm judging music for congregational worship. All right, so let's hop into this. Apparently I have not done this yet. All right. It would help if I had this ready. There we go. All right. Let's jump into it. So, again, I have heard this song. Rivers and Robots is I know them as a YouTube group. I don't know that they've done anything. I think they're actually on hiatus right now, so they haven't put anything out in a while. But I found them about a year ago, and I really enjoy this song. This is the one that really attracted me to their music.
Steadfast rock beneath my feet, God, my rock.
Alright, let's start there. I think this is like an interlude thing. Alright, so though the seas may rage and let's see, and earth may shake. So we're kind of seeing like this cataclysm. So they're saying, even though the seas may rage and the earth may shake, so that's the first clause, I don't have to be afraid. I know it's for video, so they've got like the lyrics all over the place, but it would be easier if I could like just put them all up. But all right, I don't have to be afraid. So we have this first clause. Even if the seas are raging and the earth is shaking, I don't have to be afraid, okay? Though the mountains move into the sea. Okay, there's the sea. Nope, there we go. You're a steadfast rock beneath my, and then feet's over here, I think. So we have like this description of a cataclysm happening. So we'll put this under artistic license because they're not really saying much as far as the descriptors go. But what they are saying is the first one, I don't have to be afraid, even though the earth is shaking and the seas are raging. And here, even though the mountains are moving into the sea, which is another cataclysmic event, you are a steadfast rock beneath my feet. And then who is this you? God, my rock. So we're tying the rock to God. Of course, we call Jesus the rock as well, the cornerstone, if you will. So despite all these cataclysmic events that could happen in my life and in the world, I don't have to be afraid, because God is my steadfast rock underneath my feet. So I will stay secure despite those things happening. So that's the first verse. So I think that's pretty good. Of course, we're not specific over which God, but we'll keep going. I think usually rock is, Jesus is the only one that's described as a rock. But all right, here we go.
God, my rock.
is the chorus, I think.
God, my strength.
So we have God my rock, God my rock, God my strength, God my strength. So we have a declaration of God being our rock and our strength. Pretty simple.
Though kingdoms fall and seasons fade, your steadfast love will never change. And those who call upon your name, they will not be put to shame, 'cause you're my rock.
Alright, so that's verse 2. So, though kingdoms fall and seasons fade. So, first we had like these cataclysmic events, and we're declaring God as our stronghold, as our firm foundation. And then verse 2 we have, though kingdoms fall and seasons fade. So, even though like the kingdoms of this earth are falling, and we have the seasons are fading. So, even though like, you know, the fall turns to winter, or summer turns from spring, you know. Then we have your steadfast love will never change. So we have this contrast between the things that of the earth that are constantly in flux, like kingdoms. Well, kingdoms and nations are always coming and going. They're rising and falling. And the seasons are always fading into the next season. Unlike that, we have the steadfast love of God that will never change. Alright? And then we have, and those who call upon your name, they will not be put to shame. Alright, so here we have the people. He's talking about these two steadfast things, these things that are concrete, unlike the kingdoms and the seasons that are always in flux, they're always fading, rising and falling. God's steadfast love will never change, and those who are calling upon his name, they will not be put to shame. Alright, so they have no fear in being shamed. And purpose, or the reason for that, obviously would be that God is the one that is preserving them. So their faith is not a hopeless faith. It is one that has a solid foundation. This is what I understand that to mean. All right, and then here we have the "You're my rock." So instead of "God my rock," it's "You are my rock." So now we've shifted the direction from, I guess it was kind of talking to God, but now it's taking it even more personally. You are my rock. And then it's you are my strength as well. So they've made it more personal. So the first one is like, though these things happen, I will not be put to shame. It is kind of talking about me and the introspective person. And then it talks about God in the third person. But then it turns and we shift the direction a bit and make it more personal as you are my strength. So now we're directly talking to God about him being my rock, the personal my rock, and my strength. So it went from the us to the me, and from the him to the you. I think that's pretty good. Let's see here. Okay, here we go. And this is, I guess, the bridge.
I will take my refuge under the shadow of your wings, oh God. I will take my refuge under the shadow of your wings, oh God. I will take my refuge under the.
Alright, I think it just repeats that for a while. And then there's a bunch of music before the third verse. Alright, so let's see here. Okay. I will take my refuge under the shadow of your wings, O God. And they just repeat that a few times. All right, so I think this like kind of calls back to the um, what does I think Jesus say? I would have gathered you like a mother bird gathers her children under her wings. Um, and we have like some of this example in the Psalms, I believe it is, where it's like we're under the shadow of the wings of God. So we're using some biblical language here to, and we're kind of declaring like, hey, I'm going to put my hope in God. Basically, I'm going to take my refuge under the shadow of your wings, God. So this is like a declarative statement of us putting trust in God, or the person putting their trust in God. So I think that's pretty good. It's not directly giving God praise, but it does kind of in an indirect way give God praise, because we are choosing to trust in God. So I think that's fine. Let's see here. It's interesting, I think, that if you compare this to some other songs, that they really aren't saying that much, and yet like there's a depth to it that I find interesting, because a lot of these songs that I review for like modern Christian worship, they have little to no depth in what they're saying, but here we're like using this biblical language, and we're like declaring our trust in God, and we're talking about like putting these contrasts in the steadfast love and other things. And whereas a lot of these other songs, they just throw a whole bunch of stuff randomly together and hope that it fits, and it sounds good. Maybe they even use biblical language, but they didn't really mean anything. Whereas this song doesn't say a whole lot, but it has a much deeper meaning, I think. So maybe I'm biased. You can let me know in the comments what you think if I'm biased there. All right, so that's the bridge. Let's hop into the chorus. I think their music is really good too, but I'm skipping that for sake of time.
Hold of me. I remember you're the Prince of Peace. You're my place of rest and my escape. Father, you will be my hiding place.
Oh well, we'll keep going.
You're my refuge, God. Oh, you're my refuge, God.
All right, there's more to that. We're gonna go back to the verse. All right, when anxious thoughts take hold of me, I remember you're the Prince of Peace. So now we're specifically talking about Christ here. So we have these anxious thoughts, and it's kind of like a remembrance of like our futile minds when we're consumed with anxious thoughts and worry. Well, what does the song call us to do? Well, we remember that Jesus is the Prince of Peace, and how great is that? Just to remember that when we're anxious, we just kind of give our worries and doubt to Christ, and He gives us His peace. I think it's a beautiful line there. All right. You're my place of rest and my escape. Father, you will be my hiding place. So here we have Jesus and the Father. We have two different persons of the Trinity here. So this kind of goes with the other, kind of tying the beginning of this verse together. We have the place of rest with the Prince of Peace, and then my escape, which ties it to the refuge. And so we have like this refuge, which is our place of rest, and our escape, kind of tying those ties together. I mean, they were already kind of tied together, but they really like united together in this words. I think. And then it's declaring, Father, you will be my hiding place. And then it just goes to God, it says you are my refuge, God. So again, this is personal. You are my refuge, God. Okay. And then we get a few more things here at the end.
You're
think that's basically it. In fact, that is it. All right, so okay. So now we have just a bunch of stuff that kind of fits together. We have "You're my refuge, God," which I already showed, and then we have "You're my deliverer." Lord, I turn to you. So here we're like the personal decree again. Uh, I turn to you. This is an action statement. Uh, Lord, I run to you. Another action statement. You are with me. So it's not an action statement, but like a declaration of what the relationship between us and God is. So they kind of do throw some stuff in that are seemingly disconnected, but a lot of it really just talks about our relationship with God, in Him being our refuge. So He's our fortress, another biblical word there. I also think of Martin Luther's mighty fortress. We got some like ancient hymn or like old hymn connections going on. You are my refuge. Um, You're my refuge, God. So that's the declare, and that's the end. All right, so that's the song. Let's hop over to our worship guidelines. All right, directional. So I think the indirect, the worship itself is indirect. It's not quite saying. I mean, there is like some direct praise of God, although really most of it seems to be more of like declaring to God who He is in relationship to us, which I think is fine. I wouldn't mind it if it had been a little more great, like, God, you are amazing, you are awesome, I love you, praise be to your name eternally, something like that. But that's okay. I don't need that in every song. Some indirect praise where we're declaring who God is and who He is in regard to us. And from a position of thankfulness and praise, I think that's fine. I think that's a lot better than most songs these days. Musically repeatable. One of my biggest hesitations with the song is like I don't know if it's really because of the genre they're going for. Like I feel like if we had the chords, it'd be pretty easy, but it's not as easy to pick up from just the video itself. Whereas a lot of songs you could probably just pick out, oh, that's 1, 4, and 5 right there. That's GC/DC with an E minor thrown in, whatever. This one's a little bit more difficult because of the style. They almost have like the name Rivers and Robots kind of define or is talking about their style. I think they're kind of inspired by the what's the word I'm looking for? A certain movement where like the music is has the feel of what they're describing. I'm blanking on it right now. Anyways, that's beside the point. They did a whole talk about that. You can go check that out. Anyways, but there's no like major like chord that is really super noticeable unless you're looking for it. So it's hard to know what chords they're playing through this. And so the song is really easy to sing. It's very simple, but the know-how to pick it up and play it is another thing. So, and you'd have to adjust it a little bit for congregational. So I'm not saying it's bad congregational in general. Just some things that would make me hesitate for singing it congregationally because of the style of song itself. I think it's a great song, personal worship. It's one that I sing for personal worship. But I don't know, like it would be tough to really do congregationally, I think. Especially because there's a lot of me language and I language. But you could probably change that for a congregation and say, like, us, you're our refuge, God. Because that's what I would want to do for congregational. All right, theologically sound. There's not a ton of theology into this, though they do have some biblical language about around the idea of, like, God being our refuge, our fortress, like our so there's some theological wording in the song, but it's not like, you know, a mighty fortress is our God, which is like teaching theology to the people. So it's not quite that far. It's a lot more modern Christian music. So, but it doesn't say anything untrue. I think it's fine. I would probably choose songs that have a little more theology in it, but you know, maybe there's a setting that it'd be fine. Maybe I'm just biased toward the song, but I would probably, just given the music and the theological sound, I probably wouldn't sing it congregationally. But I think it's a great personal worship song. All right, the Bob test. You know, I've given worse songs a pass, so I'll give it a pass. I think that I'm justified in doing that. I mean, we have does it say actually say Jesus? I think there's definitely well, it calls Prince of Peace. That's definitely Christological there. So, and then we have Father. So I think we're talking about the Trinity. Although it would have been cool if they had added the Spirit in there somewhere. But oh well. All right, artistic license. Yeah, I think a lot of like the beginning, the first verse is very artistic. So they probably could have done a little more from the Psalms. Maybe it is from the Psalms and I just don't realize it. But it's fine. And that's my thoughts. I would give this a definitely personal worship is good. Maybe I'm biased toward that. I don't know. You can let me know in the comments. But the congregational, I would, if I got the chords and I arranged it a little bit, I think it would be fine for congregational worship. Like I would change some of it to like you're our refuge, God, or God our rock, God our strength. I would change those things, just to adapt it for congregational worship. But otherwise, I think it's a good song. So otherwise, I wouldn't have said that. So let me know what you think in the comments. Am I super duper biased and I should repent from my leniency, or do you think it's a good song too? Let me know in the comments. Thanks for watching. I will catch you next time. Peace.